Today's episode, we will be talking about pregnancy training specific to trimester 2, considerations, modifications, and things to take into mind. So, first things first is biggest thing is going to be basically to cover all of the things that we want to be mindful of so we know when we should stop training, exercising, or, when we need to take a little bit of action into consideration. And these are things such as headaches, chest pain, muscle weakness affecting your balance, calf pain or swelling, any dizziness, shortness of breath before actually becoming into a level of exertion, regular painful contractions or amniotic fluid, any leakage of any kind. These are things that are just, I suppose, red flags to keep an eye out for so that you know that if you do experience any of these, you do want to stop training immediately and look into some healthcare services. Now, one of the things that I always like to open up is that everybody's pregnancy is completely different. Your level of training or activity during pregnancy may differ to your level of activity or training during a previous pregnancy, or may differ to your friend next door. And that is completely normal. That's why everybody's pregnancy and training journey needs to be taken into account as an individual journey, okay? And there's some activities that are definitely more encouraged throughout your entire pregnancy. They could be, low impact aerobic exercises, modified yoga or Pilates as well. Some running and jogging, being mindful that running and jogging should only be a part of your pregnancy training, especially as we move through trimester 2 and 3. If it was already a part of your existing training or activity routine, you wouldn't get pregnant and then decide to start running. It's not generally advised to go down that route. So that's why, again, everything is contextual. We bring it back to your individual pregnancy, where you're at, the level of activity prior to pregnancy, how you're feeling, confident, everything. But some other activities definitely, and one that you guys all know that I'm a huge advocate for, is going to be resistance or strength training. So if you can maintain a level of strength, it's really going to help benefit your pregnancy, the duration of your pregnancy, your mobility, your strength, your balance, but also you and your muscular, mental resilience and endurance to be able to get through labor and beyond. It's really going to help benefit your postpartum journey as well. There are some resistance exercises that we now, as we're moving into trimester 2, want to start to look at first. One of them is going to be anything that is going to be adding that additional load to your abdominal area. So thinking about taking out anything like a barbell front squat that is really core predominant, so that really focuses on core strength. It's something that you can maintain at a lighter weight. And again, it's going to depend on your own balance, your ability to correctly contract your core and maintain that, to take the load off your low back. But also it's going to come down to the level of training experience you have. Another one that you want to consider is going to be your barbell hip thrusts. These ones, they don't necessarily need to be taken out as such. Really just depends on where your baby is sitting. If you do have a low-lying placenta or anything like that, you don't want any weight sitting over your uterus, and you can place it low, like really quite low, down past your hips. But again, like I said last week, everything comes back to it's better to be safe than sorry. So this is when I would start to swap out a barbell hip thrust for maybe a single leg hip thrust, or we can also take some alternatives such as dumbbells. You can continue to add an extra glute burn with bands as well. So you don't it's not that you have to completely get rid of the exercise or that specific movement pattern. We just want to look at some modifications that we can make to help keep that movement pattern in and keep some resistance and load on the muscle, but we don't necessarily need to have a barbell sitting across our hips, right? So the other thing that I would like to sort of, I guess, touch on, some exercises that we can keep in during trimester 2. Some exercises that we want to either modify and also some other exercises that we want to taper back or continue to taper back as we move through each stage. One of the really, I think, like grey areas of pregnancy training is around core training. That's generally come from, I suppose, some old research where it was basically said, no, cut out all core training altogether. It should not be done during pregnancy. But as we know, what we want to do is try and avoid as much ab separation as possible. It's going to happen during pregnancy, but if we can reduce that or, try and bring that down to a level that is more manageable postpartum, then we're going to be doing ourselves a lot of favors. So one of the ways that we can do that is continue to train our core, remembering that core is not just the six-pack abs. Like, your core is your entire trunk. So we have so many ways that we can actually train our core without that direct crunching movement. Remembering that we want to maintain strength, stability, and mobility, and your core, being the absolute center of your body, actually holds all that together. So that's why it is still important to train your core during pregnancy. Now, a few ways that we can do this. There's some core or trunk exercises, mainly stability exercises should really be focused on, especially trimester 2 and 3. So I'll talk you through a few of those. They can be anything like a loaded carry, so such as your suitcase carry. It can be something as, people would probably see this as a shoulder exercise, but a seated single arm overhead press. So this really makes you have to go and switch on your core. So you really do have to think about it before you go into that lift, to keep yourself nice and steady. So that's automatically engaging your core. That is a way of training your core as well. We have the standing or kneeling pull-off press, which can actually also, if you'd like to know what that exercise is or see a demonstration, just let me know and I can send you over a link to that exercise. It's a fantastic one that can be done in the gym or at home if you have a resistance band. You could also do the half kneeling chop with a resistance band using a dumbbell, a free weight, or anything that you have access to, as well as stabilizing exercises such as your bird dogs. Even dead bugs could be kept in during trimester 2. The dead bugs are kind of like your bird dogs flipped. They are lying down on your back. Again, it's not like flat lying has to be taken out completely, because that's impractical, right? But you do have to just reduce the amount of time you are spending flat lying. And I can talk about that more in trimester 3 training. Some other really great exercises could be to help with the lower body, anything to do with glutes. Strengthening your glutes, your lower back and your core are really going to help you maintain as mobile as possible pregnancy, but also help you with rebuilding that strength, that stability and mobility coming back postpartum as well. So you could also do having your back elevated. You could keep those hip thrusts in like I spoke about, keeping that movement pattern, but maybe just taking the barbell out. Having a front foot or back foot elevated glute bridge. So this means that you can actually isolate a single leg, or even single leg glute bridges down on the floor as well. Anything to do with abductors, so anything taking that leg away from the body to strengthen our glute muscles and our side body, hip muscles here as well, that's going to be really beneficial. Any row alternatives, so anything that you can do that's going to basically work your upper back, your middle back, your rhomboids, your lats, to really help correct that posture, because as we know, as we start to grow that belly and coming into trimester 2, probably starting to grow the belly, what can happen is where the belly is going outward and we start to create that lordosis in the bottom of our spine, so that curvature in the spine. So if we can, let's work on those postural muscles, keeping that upper back nice and strong, stable, to mitigate that lordosis and really help keep our posture intact whilst we are growing the midsection. So seated cable rows, single arm rows, bent over rows, anything like that, anything you can do body weight or free weight is fine. As you move through trimester 3, and this is what I like to do as well, is I generally try to take as much away from free weights and moved as much into cable machine or banded work, because that takes a little bit less balance and stability on my body parts than it does, holding, say, a barbell, for example. Some other really great movement patterns that we want to keep in is the hinge and press variations. So the hinge could be anything like our Romanian deadlifts, our kettlebell deadlifts. You can do stiff legs, wide leg or narrow stance, anything that is going to maintain or help you maintain strength. But you do need to be mindful that we're able to activate that core first by switching on the lower abdominals. And then we want to move into the movement. Super important to be able to basically zip baby up, hold baby in nice and close, and then move into that movement. If you want some more resources on that, please reach out. I'm more than happy to pass on what I've put together. And then again, we have our press variations, which can be your dumbbell bench press. This is when we do want to start to incline that bench. So we don't, like I said, we don't have to take low flat lying out, but let's just play it safe, incline the bench slightly so that your blood is able to flow through, Bubs is comfortable, you're comfortable, you have the most support, and you're not having to go down to a flat lying, what can actually create abdominal doming. So that's where you'll be able to see. And if you are training, I would highly recommend training in a crop top or a really tight shirt, where you can actually look and see your belly. And what you want to do is avoid any coning or doming. So if I was to show you here, you can see just a round belly. When you cone or dome, you'll actually start to see almost like a triangular shape almost. And your belly, instead of it being curved and round, will almost come out into like a dome at the top. That's what you want to avoid. So whilst training, keep an eye on your tummy and just keep a bit of a gauge as to sort of what shape your belly is in, because that can really help give you a clear understanding of, okay, hang on, I've lost engagement here, or this load is too heavy. Let's taper it back. And then a few other things that should be taken into consideration moving into trimester 2 is just basically going to be your RPE. So like I said, in trimester 1, not too much generally needed to be changed, right? If you are feeling good and you're moving well, then there's no reason to really change too much other than that direct core crunching. So again, that one stays out for the entirety of your pregnancy. Trimester 2, we probably are going to want to just drop that RPE down a little bit. You don't have to completely taper off, but again, we're not in it to be hitting PBs. We are in it to move through a healthy, safe pregnancy and give ourselves the absolute best on the other end postpartum as well. So trimester 2 RPE, you want to be working sort of around the range of 7 to 8. We don't need to be aiming for any higher because you really want to be mindful of the heart rate was a really good gauge, I think, years ago, but now going off RPE, it allows you to personalize it to your existing level of exertion, your existing level of fitness prior to getting pregnant. So if you do want any resources on how to gauge your RPE and work through that, also let me know. I can post that out to you as well. And then, and like I said, yeah, that's pretty much what you need to focus on in trimester 2. So there's a couple exercises there that we would modify, not necessarily take out. We do want to focus on keeping those really beneficial movement patterns. We just modify how we can add load or the RPE that comes with that. I hope that was helpful today. If you do have any questions whatsoever on training during pregnancy, trimester 1, 2, or 3, please reach out and let me know how I can help. I would love to follow your journey, but also support your pregnancy journey so you can continue to feel strong, empowered, and, in control through many, many changes. And if you are currently pregnant and training, then good on you. I wish you all the best for the rest of your pregnancy. If you are looking to become pregnant and a bit wary about how your training program might look, then rest assured that it is okay. It is super beneficial to continue training. And if you ever need some help or support with that, please reach out. Thank you for watching. I look forward to getting some feedback and chatting some more on trimester 3 next week.